Fall is my favorite time of the year. I love the look of the trees. We live in such a beautiful area here in Canada, and when the trees change color, before the leaves start to fall especially, it is just so incredibly gorgeous. I also love like the smell and the flavors.
It's pumpkin spice season.
It's all the good things, and there's like that crispness in the air, which just feels so fresh to me. I know it's not your favorite season.
It's not that I don't like fall, it's more that it's just the end of summer, and that makes me sad, because summer is like head and shoulders above everybody, all the other seasons in my terms of favorite seasons. Yet I can appreciate winter. I grew up in Canada. Like, I get that you bundle up and you go and do the things. We ski, we skate, we do the things. Fall is lovely, but summer is over.
But these recipes are going to make you feel better about
the
fall.
recipes make it so much better. You're absolutely right.
So we're going to start with a really exciting one, and we're actually going to be kind of cooking it up with you because we recently did a mega session. I will link to that up there, where we did 100% all new recipes. We had never tried them. Some of them were extreme experiments, and this particular one came about. It's pumpkin soup. Just want to give that to you now so that you know what we're talking about. Came about because we had a whole bunch of leftover sweet potatoes, because a lot of the recipes we did had some peeled and cubed sweet potatoes, and I didn't realize how much we had, so I wasn't using enough in each of the recipes.
She was being conservative when she probably could have been the opposite.
Yes,
she could have been
very generous. And I didn't realize that we actually had bought more sweet potatoes than we needed, so we had prepped more than we even needed. So at the end, I was inventing recipes with sweet potatoes. I had just been to this little cafe, cute little cafe in our area, and they have seasonal soups, and they had a pumpkin soup, and I had tried it, and it was really good. So I thought, I had it on the brain, and I thought, sweet potato, pumpkin soup.
Sure.
This is gonna work. So we have assembled this as a freezer meal in a freezer bag, and now here today, we're actually going to take this right here, and we are going to throw this into our stovetop pot. We're gonna cook it up while we're filming this video, and then we're going to transfer it into super cubes so that we have individual portions of this soup that we can refreeze, and that way for fall lunches we can enjoy this soup. So I'm gonna get this in the pot, and then I'm gonna tell you what went into this bag. So as you can see, it wasn't even fully thawed. I just couldn't wait to get it in there. So we will just, as it thaws, be able to like stir it around. It'll all start cooking down, and then we're gonna run an immersion blender through it. And once it's cooled, transfer it into those super cubes, get them in the freezer. When they're frozen, we'll transfer them into freezer bags, and then we'll have these amazing individual portioned lunches. To make that in the first place, into that freezer bag, I had added a whole bunch of that peeled and cubed sweet potato, some diced onion, minced garlic from a jar, some salt, pepper, pumpkin pie spice, chipotle chili powder. That way the sweetness from the pumpkin pie and the smoky heat from the chipotle chili can kind of offset each other. And a large can of pumpkin puree along with some vegetable broth. We got all the air out of that bag, we froze it, and as you saw here today, we've now thawed it a little bit, gotten it into our stovetop pot. We could also cook this one in the slow cooker if we wanted to. And as you can see, it's got the colors of fall because it's got that pumpkin and the sweet potato, and it also is going to smell like fall because of the chipotle chili and the pumpkin pie spice. So very quickly, this kitchen is going to...
You have pumpkin on your forehead.
Are you for real?
I'm not even kidding, it was so much. I didn't look at you.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
Chicken tagine is a great fall recipe. It is aromatic. It is kind of a romantic meal, to be honest. And we have very few recipes that actually call for bone-in skin on chicken thighs, and this is one of the ones that we do have. And wow, is it just delicious. So here is the chicken tagine. Into a large freezer bag, we're going to add our chicken thighs. In a bowl, we're going to mix together paprika, turmeric, cumin, coriander, cinnamon, cayenne, and salt and pepper. We're gonna mix that around and then add that to our chicken and shake it around so that it coats our chicken evenly. In another bag, we're going to add some sliced onion, some carrots cut into chunks, some minced garlic, some fresh ginger. We like to use it from a squeezy tube, some lemon zest, some lemon juice, some honey, a bit of chicken broth, and some pitted olives. We're going to mix that around in our freezer bag and then staple those bags together after we seal them. Make sure you staple them above the seal so that you don't get any leaks. When you go to cook this, you're going to allow it to thaw. You're going to heat some olive oil up in a nice deep skillet and add your chicken and get a good sear on both sides over, medium-high heat. Add your bag of vegetables with the sauce and then cover and simmer for 30 minutes or until your carrots are tender and your chicken is cooked. And you want to make sure that chicken has reached an internal temperature of 165 degrees when you check it with a meat thermometer. This is delightful. Everything about this dish is so good. You could have it with pasta, you could have it with rice. We prefer to have it with potatoes because we are just potato people. And wow, is this just everything about it is so good.
It is. And we're a little bit more pasta rice people, so we've had ours with rice always. Actually, we've had it with saffron rice once and basmati rice another time, and it is a really, really good one. In this video, we're sharing with you recipes that are perfect for fall that are actually new this year. We have we have 3 other fall videos. One is completely fall soups from last year, and then we've got just fall meals from, last year and the year before, or maybe even the year before that. So I'm gonna pop one of them up there if you wanna go check it out. And those are totally different meals because I love the flavors of fall so much that I'm always inventing new ones.
It is probably your most prolific time of year for inventing recipes. Yes. And it's your most inventive, right? Like wild things come out of your brain, and I super love it. I am here for it.
It's true. And so in that mega session that I was telling you about that we just finished doing last week or the week before, we did, like I was saying, completely 100% all new recipes, and I'm gonna show you what's for dinner tonight, but it's not one of the recipes in this video because we haven't tried it yet. I just have to show it to you because the colors of this one and the flavors are perfect for fall. You can find the recipe over in that other video, but we don't want to share the recipe with you here because we don't know if it's any good.
Yeah, we haven't actually tried it yet. It looks good.
But I'm gonna get it.
Okay.
Okay. This. Can you see it? This is sheet pan maple Dijon sausage and vegetables. It's got green from the Brussels sprouts. It's got orange from the sweet potatoes. See, like I was saying, lots of sweet potatoes in that video. It's got the sausage. It's got the purple from the purple onions. And it's got like that yellowy orange from the Dijon mustard. So, and maple, like maple. If there was a fall flavor that wasn't pumpkin, it would have to be maple, right? Anyway, I just had to share this with you because this is what we're gonna be trying tonight. Oh, and I am covering Christy's face. Now, fall really is a great time for soups, but we've been prolific in the soup area.
There has been a lot of soup happening here lately, and it's great.
This one was really different. It is my friend Heather's recipe. It is sauerkraut soup. So we're calling this one Heather's sauerkraut soup. And I have to tell you that we were a little skeptical. I was more skeptical than you were.
We have a dill pickle soup that we really like, and so I was fine with the idea of a sour soup and sauerkraut. I mean, it has sour in the name. I knew that it was going to be like a sort of thing happening with your mouth, and it really, really is. And so I was fairly confident that I would like it, and I'm glad that you do.
And because, well, I'm going to tell you the recipe, and then we'll talk about it. So this one is one that you want to actually cook up in your pot and then get it into your freezer. The nice thing about that is that if you're making meals for one or two, or if you're making meals for individual lunches or something like that, these are just a quick reheat on the day you go to make this. So what you're gonna do is in your pot, you're gonna have your chicken broth, some water, a head of cauliflower that's cut into florets, some diced onion, peeled and sliced carrots, salt, pepper, cayenne, and then you're just going to boil that until your vegetables are soft. Once that happens, you're going to go through this with an immersion blender. The nice thing about this is doing that with the immersion blender is gonna thicken this soup up and make it seem really creamy without actually having any dairy in it. Then you're going to add a whole liter of sauerkraut.
That's like 4 cups.
That's a lot.
It's
of
a
sauerkraut. And then some sliced Ukrainian sausage. And that's a lot as well, because that's 3 cups. And so the Ukrainian sausage is going to give this soup its heartiness. And that's why you could even eat this for dinner. It doesn't have to be a lunch. But either way, you're gonna continue to simmer that for 2 hours. That's gonna make it so that the flavors of that sausage and the flavors of the sauerkraut meld into those other vegetables, and all the goodness is going to combine. Then you're gonna allow it to cool before transferring it into either freezer bags, freezer safe containers, or in our case, we like to use the super cubes, like I was saying earlier. And then if you do choose to use super cubes, then you can, once they're fully frozen, transfer them into freezer bags. That way your super cube containers aren't being held hostage in your freezer, and you can use them for other things.
The other nice thing about transferring this into super cubes is that if it's just you at home, you can just have one, and maybe it'll be enough for a little bit of leftovers. Or if there's 2 of you, you could take out 2 super cubes. If you are going to have this for your family and everybody wants to have the sauerkraut soup, you can use the whole block, all of your super cubes. It really is versatile that way, which is really great.
You can find a link to the super cubes below, or you can find them in our Amazon shop, and the link for that is below as well. I'm gonna go give the soup a stir. I will be right back. Hold on. I have had a really strange day, I don't know, last 24 hours. Christy knows a little bit about this, but yesterday one of our sons he was starting a new job. It was his very first day of this new job, and he showed up at the job, and they were teaching him some of the things that he needs to learn. And then they were like, so, when we hired you, you said you'd be fine with, working in other locations and going, here and there if we needed you to. So we're gonna send you tomorrow to this remote island off of northern British Columbia.
Off of the Queen Charlotte's. It's called Haida Gwaii.
It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely
It's rainforest.
It is.
Yeah.
And so last night, so he worked the full day yesterday and then came home, and they had booked flights for him and kind of given him a rundown of the food is really expensive on the island. There's not a lot of, in terms of restaurants and things like that, especially now that tourist season is ending. So they were like, this is what you need. So last night was spent trying to get him packed and ready, and also for him to get rain gear, different things, because my husband pulled up a weather app and it was you know how it's gives the percentage of chance of rain? Well, like Christy said, it's a rainforest, so every day is 100% chance of rain. 100.
So not too far from Haida Gwaii inland is an area called Kitimat.
Yes.
And Kitimat per capita has the highest snow removal budget of any place else in Canada, because it literally snows every day.
Wow.
Because it's also, on the edge of that rainforest. And I had a friend in college who grew up in Kitimat, and that was one of the little tidbits that stuck away in there, that, highest per capita budget of snowfall. And so it makes sense to me that it's going to be rainy and drizzly where he's going, but what an experience.
And this particular son, he is our adventure kid.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he actually spent 2 summers ago, he worked in northern BC, British Columbia, tree planting. And then a year ago, in the spring and summer, he worked as a lift attendant, a chairlift attendant, at a ski resort. Doing, for mountain biking. So he is exactly the kid that, not a kid anymore, he's 20. But he is up living his best life, except that today was like a bit of a crazy day because he had to be at the airport by 5 a.m. at the latest. We live about 45 minutes away from the airport. And he was catching a flight to Vancouver, BC. And then he was going to be catching a different airline.
Is he going to get to go on a float plane? Do you think?
He's going on this tiny little plane.
Oh, sure.
I don't know how many seats are on it, but really tiny, like with a totally different airline. So he was going to have to get a shuttle at the big Vancouver airport and go to a different terminal and
to a private one.
Yes.
We have them here too, and it's kind of neat. Like, what an exciting thing to get to go do.
So he was nervous about that part, but we do know we've had an update. He had boarded that plane, so he's at least like on the last leg of his journey, and we're excited for him. But my point is that yesterday was all like, last night became all about the rain gear and the packing and whatever, and here's where freezer meals comes into it. So I couldn't send him with freezer meals. Normally that would be my go-to. But, he's going to have a day of travel today, so they're not going to still be frozen by the time they get there. So, but I was able to use my knowledge that I have learned in freezer cooking to help him pack, because he had to take all his tools with him. He's going to be installing solar on this island, like solar panels, but also like the infrastructure that's needed to make the solar panels like do their thing, whatever. So I really know nothing about all of the mechanics of doing whatever, however you install solar panels and however you get it to all work. But I do know things about getting air out of bags.
Yes, you do.
And so he had to pack his tools, he had to pack all his safety equipment, so his helmet and his vests and his whatever. He had to pack a lot of rain gear, and he had to pack the special boots and all these things. And you can only bring so many bags on an airplane when you're gonna have to lug everything with you.
And they're very picky on how many pounds you can bring, and I mean, the big airlines are, but the little airlines are too.
They have to be.
They have to be.
And so here we were last night trying to get this food that he had bought, and I had suggested things that might take up less space but be, like oatmeal packets where he can easily make those.
Yeah.
He's not the best cook in the world, but anybody can,
manage an oatmeal packet.
Right? And so we took a bunch of boxes of oatmeal packets, put them into freezer bags, and sucked all the air out. And so then you can fit like a whole bunch of boxes into one bag. So we did that with a whole bunch of the snacks that he got, like granola bars and those like bear paw cookies and all those things. And so we were just taking things and sucking all the air out and making the bags as small as we possibly could. And then in his backpack that houses his tools, we were fitting all this food and dry pasta and and then I was telling him for his clothes that actually it takes up less space if you roll your clothes, but it takes up even less if you then put those
in a bag
and suck the air out. Now if we had a vacuum sealer, that would be the ultimate, and I know some people do for packing.
Sure. Well, it gets them there, but it doesn't get them home.
That's true. So the nice thing is that with these Ziploc bags, he's going to be able to reuse them for a whole bunch of other things when he's
putting
there.
Wet things in. If it's raining every day, you know that he's going to be out on a work site and have to change his socks.
right?
Yeah.
We made sure he packed wool socks and layers.
Lots of layers.
Anyway, it's going to be quite an adventure for him, but we went from like yesterday morning, he was just on his first day at this new job, and we were like, hope you have a great day. And last night we were packing him for 3 weeks away on this remote island that is beautiful, and like I said, I'm super excited for him, but it was a little bit of like a mind shift.
Oh, absolutely.
And Christy actually came over last night to borrow sour cream.
Oh, I did. Yes, and you were out like collecting things. He was here, your mom was here. Everything was busy, and I just walked in. Like, I'm her neighbor, right? And we borrow things back and forth, lend things back and forth all the time. And I just came in and said, I'm here to borrow some sour cream. I'm just going to go and help myself.
Yeah. And you got to see the excitement.
I did. I got to talk to him. He was excited, and we're proud of him. That's exciting. It is good. But we should talk about freezer meals just a little bit more. Because I have sweet potato red lentil dal here. This is another nice vegetarian meal that is saucy and saucy. I always think of Hugh Grant in Love Actually when he looks at Margaret Thatcher and is like, you never have this problem, do you, you saucy minx? We're going to start out with our dry red lentils, and we're going to rinse them and drain them. We're going to add them to our freezer bag. We're going to add diced onion, some of that sweet potato that we had plenty of here recently. We're adding in minced garlic, minced ginger. We like to use that from a squeezy tube. And we're adding in curry powder, lime juice, salt, vegetable broth, and that is it. We're gonna mix it around right in the bag. We don't need to dirty any extra dishes doing any stirring here. You wanna get that excess air out, which we are very proficient at. Seal it up and get it into your freezer. When you go to cook this, you're going to allow it to thaw. You're going to get it into your slow cooker, or you could do it on the stovetop. You're gonna add a cup of water with it and mix that in, and then just cook it until it's nice. Cook it until your lentils are cooked and your sweet potato is nice and soft. This is something that you would serve with like basmati rice or jasmine rice. You could sprinkle it with some fresh cilantro, and it is just super fresh yet super fall. Slow cooker recipes are kind of important right now in this time of year because we are on the go like I have never been on the go in my house.
You are having a fall
I am having a fall life. My son, he's 14. He's in grade 9. He is on the senior volleyball team. And this year he had a friend sign up for football, and it's community league football. It's not through the school. But the friend signed up, and he just kind of came home in June and said, could I sign up for football? And we're like, yeah, like he's taller than me. He probably weighs 200 pounds. This kid is solid. And we're like, yeah, of course you should play football. Like, I don't know why it took you this long to ask. So we signed him up for football, and right now it's a lot. He's got volleyball in the mornings before school, 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week he has football after school. Plus then he had on this weekend, let me tell you, I spent more time in my car and in bleachers than I care to admit. He had 2 games after school for a volleyball tournament. And then we were back at 9 in the morning. They played 5 games because after all of their work the past 2 years, like when he was in grade 7, they didn't win a single game. Grade 9, they went to the gold medal game.
It's so exciting.
It is so exciting.
She was texting me like during the day, giving me updates.
And his best friend was on the opposing team, and it was like, oh, it was just, my goodness, it was such a fun day.
That's like a made-for-TV movie.
It kind of was, except for the best friend one instead of my kid. But
yeah.
But I was still proud of him because he's been part of our life for a long time. We love this kid, and his dad was coaching, and we know him. Like it was.
He's like
volleyball central.
Yeah.
Like there's a serious pedigree in their family. So no kidding, their son is good at volleyball. And so I spent all day there, and we had talked about, you have football Saturday night.
After the tournament.
If you don't feel like playing some of the playoff games, you get a pass. Like they can do it without you. you need to save some energy for football. They don't have enough kids. Like, it's a lot of the kids that were on the team last year went into grade 10, so they don't play anymore. And there just didn't seem to be a lot, and there wasn't a lot of interest. And so they are like barely allowed to be in the league. They have probably below the minimum amount, but they let them in. And so he has to play. If it's a toss-up between the two, he has to play football, or otherwise they might get disqualified just because they don't have enough kids. So he has to play football. From volleyball, now, like, he wins the silver medal. He's never medaled in volleyball ever, so this is exciting. And then we get to football. In the meantime, we go through a drive-through. And I'll get to the freeze and meal part, I promise. We hit the drive-through. He sleeps on the way to the football game, and we get there. They get out on the field, and it starts raining. And I left the house at 7:30 that morning, not really thinking that I was going to get back, to get the football stuff. So we took everything with us, but I didn't check the weather report. And so I was wearing a dress at volleyball, and I did take clothes. Like, I took like warmer clothes and a jacket to go to football because it's getting cooler in the evenings here. And I sat in the rain and was soaked. Like, my pants were just soaked. And after, I went into the parking lot and I changed back into my dress because it was dry. And then, do you know what those kids did? They all said, we want to go to Denny's. And so we went to Denny's till midnight with those kids.
Oh my.
And it was really great fun. The moral of the story is, I had freezer meals at home. My daughter and my husband didn't starve because I wasn't there to cook meals for them. And the instructions are there. It's easy. You can throw something in the slow cooker, especially for sports, like on days like today where it's school and then something to eat and then football. It's nice to have something going in the slow cooker so that I can just set it and forget it. I don't have to plan ahead because I'm here filming. So that is my life lately. I am in my car or I'm in the bleachers. I love sports. I love watching my kids play sports, and they were really good. I was just, and guess what? We're doing it again this weekend.
There's another tournament?
Another tournament, but I don't think there's another football game until like...
You are going to appreciate your freezer meals even more.
Absolutely.
Than ever before.
Absolutely.
Okay, I hear the soup boiling.
It's boiling.
So I'm just going to go and maybe turn it to a simmer.
Ooh, and it smells good.
I'm going to tell you the progress of this soup is I'm looking at it and it smells really good. It looks good, but it's dark. And I know that's the pumpkin puree that's causing it to be that dark, but I'm kind of wondering if we might need to add heavy cream into this recipe. We could either add it into the freezer bag or we could add it after we cook it. So obviously today, because this is an experiment, we're gonna be actually trying this on camera with you. We did that in a recent video.
Yeah.
And people really liked that they got our live reactions. So after we run an immersion blender through it, we are gonna have a little taste of it on camera. And if we feel like it needs to have some cream added, then we can do that and try that out and see. But it's just based on the color that I'm thinking that. We'll have to see based on the flavor. Anyway.
And if you don't have heavy cream, I think we could totally try a can of evaporated milk.
Oh, we totally could.
I think that would be the best solution because you don't have any heavy cream right now.
I don't.
I do have some, but it's like at my house and we're filming a video. So
and it's 2 doors down, like that's really far.
So when we were trying that soup on camera, we were super excited about it, and it's this recipe.
I'm gonna pop the video for that up there because whoa, we were
like in love with this soup. About a year and a half ago, maybe it was last year sometime. That same little cafe where she found the pumpkin soup, I was there doing some embroidering. It's not a nice term, but sometimes they call them a stitch and bitch, where you sit and you work on your needlecraft or your crochet or your knitting. And I was doing some embroidering and just basically going to meet people. And it was at this cafe, and they had this soup on for a special, and I ordered the soup, and I immediately texted Charlotte and I said, I am eating carrot, orange, and brie soup, and I don't know what you need to do to find this recipe, but you need to find it and we need to make this because we need to freezer mealize this because I need to have it again. It was so good. I did ask for the recipe, did not get the recipe. The man, sometimes you ask and they say yes, you know? And so here is our rendition out of Charlotte's brain and research.
Because I could not find this recipe, so I invented
She invented this recipe. Here is carrot, orange, and brie soup in a freezer meal. We are going to start out with 2.5 carrots peeled and roughly chopped. We're going to drizzle them with olive oil on a cookie sheet with a little bit of salt, and then we're going to roast them in the oven at 400 for 20 to 25 minutes until they get that nice caramelization on it, a little bit of color. And then you're going to add some onion, some diced onion, and some whole garlic cloves right onto the tray, back into the oven, and a little bit more olive oil, a little more salt, back into the oven, and that is going to be the basis for this soup. Once that is cooked, we're going to put it in a large pot with some chicken broth and some thyme, and then we are going to bring that up to a boil and allow it to simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. Then run an immersion blender through it. Stick it right in there, get it as smooth as you can, and then we're going to add our brie, which we've cut up a little bit and remove the rind. And then we're adding in orange juice and heavy cream. And then we're stirring it around until that brie is melted. And then we're going to just give it a little sprinkle of pepper at the end. And this is it. We can eat it right now, which is what we did that day because we were too excited. Or you can allow it to cool. We put it into super cubes. Get it into your freezer. Again, take out as many as you want and just reheat it on the day that you go to cook this. Or you could do it in the whole bag and that would be okay too. We have a carrot soup that's really similar to this, which is where you got the idea to roast the carrots. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just does something to the carrots, right?
It does.
It deepens that flavor.
Mm-hmm. My friend Holly recently had some pretty major surgery and she was only supposed to be eating things that are, you know, like more of a baby food consistency. And hospital food gets old pretty quickly. So the day she got home from the hospital, I brought her the roasted carrot and brie soup. I also brought her some, we had made curried lentil soup in that same video. We're not sharing that recipe with you today, but you can see it in that other video. And I brought cubes of that for her freezer, and I actually heated some up for her right then and there. And big step up from hospital food. She was so happy. And actually today, if the pumpkin soup turns out and is really good, I am gonna drive some cubes of pumpkin soup over to her once they're frozen, because then she can have a little bit more variety. In that mega session video where I invented all new meals, one of the things I was trying is to see, because raw potatoes don't freeze well, if I could substitute hash browns in place of raw potatoes in recipes that you wouldn't expect it. Like, yes, for years we've been making recipes like beef hash using hash browns or hash brown casserole using hash browns, but I was trying to think outside the box and see if I could use it in recipes like potato soups or like this chickpea potato tikka masala. And I'm so excited to report that it worked. And actually, one of my daughters, who is quite a foodie, she actually has taken a lot of years of culinary in high school and has worked in kitchens and loves food. She could not believe when I told her that it was hash browns. Like,
I believe it. I'm excited. I have not had that freezer meal yet because it has coconut in it and that's just not my jam. So it wasn't the one I had to try first.
It wasn't the one you were like, I can't wait to get home and try this. Whereas I was like, oh, because we did two versions of this. In one, we used the hash browns to make it a potato thing. And the other one, we used sweet potatoes because we're doing
we had a lot.
potatoes for everything. And so that one I haven't tried yet, but I'm sure after trying this one, I know that's gonna work. We know that sweet potatoes do freeze, thaw, cook up well, just like they are doing their thing right now in the pumpkin soup. So either way.
I wish that you had smell-o-vision because it smells really good in this kitchen right now. I'm just saying.
It
Just
does.
saying. Oh, it does smell good. Okay,
It smells like fall.
It does. It does. Okay, carry on. Sorry.
You're fine. Before I get into this, I will also say this makes a very full bag, and it can feed a lot of people. Into your large freezer bag, you're gonna add those frozen diced hash browns, some drained chickpeas, diced onion, minced garlic, ginger. We like to use our ginger from a squeezy tube, a can of crushed tomatoes, a can of fire roasted tomatoes, a can of coconut milk, some frozen peas, a diced yellow pepper, minced jalapeno, garam masala, paprika, cumin, salt, coriander, turmeric, and a bit of sugar. You're gonna try to squish all those ingredients together in the bag, but it's a really full bag, so it's it's a challenge to squish all that together. But you're gonna then take out all the air that you can, seal it, and get that into your freezer. It's a really thick bag, but that means it's a really full meal. So on the day you make this, you thaw it, you dump the bag contents into your slow cooker. You can cook this on high for 4 hours, and then you're supposed to add a tablespoon of lemon juice at the end of cooking, which I completely forgot to do, and it still tasted so, so good. What I did is I cooked some naan, just heated. I had it in the freezer because Christy told me to do this. She said that she always gets her naan at Costco and keeps it in the freezer, and then she has it whenever she needs it. And I don't know why I've done freezer meals forever. I don't know why that never occurred to me, but that will forever be something I do from now on, because we just heated it in the oven. And
Naan's a nice heavy bread, so it freezes well and thaws well, and it holds up in the freezer better than like your pitas or like buns, hot dog buns. What they look at the freezer and they're like, oh no. So yeah, naan freezes really, really well.
And it was like warm and hearty, and you know
it crisps up.
It was really good. And she told me to, like, you flip them over halfway.
Yes.
It's just perfect. So we had this. Everyone loved it. They were like, even the 2-year-old. There were just
accolades.
No complaints. This one is a definite keeper, definite winner. It's gonna go in the club. Like, we're gonna do all the things with this recipe and try new iterations. Now, you could put some chopped fresh cilantro on top if you wanted to. I didn't happen to have any when we made this, so I didn't. But in the future, I would do that. And of course, next time I'll try to remember to add the lemon juice at the end. But honestly, it was just so good. And it did remind me of fall because, I mean, did you hear that list of spices?
I think as you were reading them off, I'm like, you just opened up your spice cupboard and went, it's the kitchen sink of spices in there.
It's so good.
And when we made this, we made mine with the coconut milk, knowing that I'm probably not going to be a super huge fan. My husband really loves coconut, so, you know, the man can have some coconut once in a while. But if I make this again, there's a good chance I would just trade it out. I would substitute in either heavy cream or evaporated milk and make it not coconutty.
Yes.
And then I could enjoy it as much as everybody else.
As intended. And that's the great thing about freezer meals is they're really versatile and you can use them in the way that you need to. And if you wanted, you could have this over rice instead of with the naan. Like, it's a great one.
Carrying on with our sweet potato train, we are going to have chorizo sweet potato skillet. This is nice because it's in a skillet, you know, it's going to cook up pretty fast, which is like a nice thing to have with sweet potato, because we're going to add into our large bag some chorizo sausage that has been cooked and sliced. So we're talking the links here, not the ground chorizo. We're adding in diced purple onion, diced green pepper, diced red pepper, and your large sweet potato that has been peeled and diced. And again, you want these fairly small cubes if you're going to put them into a skillet. We're going to also add in minced garlic, some cumin, chili powder, and red pepper flakes. Get all of the excess air out, seal it up and freeze it. when you go to cook this, like I said before, this goes in the skillet. You're going to allow it to thaw, heat up some oil in your skillet, just a little bit of olive oil, and then add the bag contents. Give it a little stir, bring it up to a boil, cover for 10 minutes, stirring occasionally until that sweet potato has softened. Bam. This also would be good with rice. Actually, it would probably be good with naan.
Probably would.
Anything is good with naan. And it's just, it's hearty and flavorful.
So I think this could also be a brunch, and you could crack eggs.
Oh, you could
on top of
cook
this.
eggs in that for sure. Yeah, we're getting into the whole cooking eggs and everything, aren't we? Because what else did we have recently?
Well, we have our shakshuka that you do eggs in. The Moroccan chickpea stew, you can do eggs in.
But there was a recent one
Yeah.
where you could add poached eggs on top. It was like a Thai.
Oh, maybe it was the bulgogi, the Korean beef bulgogi. Was that it? We are
It was
just
delicious without the eggs.
expanding what is possible in the freezer meal realm.
And if we're saying words that you don't know because you don't eat a lot of international foods, can I just challenge you to try one thing that you might eat with naan? Like, because you don't understand that you're missing an entire flavor profile that makes your dinner time that much more exciting.
It can expand your culinary horizons.
When I met Charla, I don't think I'd ever eaten a chickpea. And yes, and I didn't particularly like curry at all, but you have changed my mind about curries even because of...
I started you with the gateway curries.
Yeah, like, but who doesn't love butter chicken, right? Like, and that I had at least had before, but I didn't even realize that it was curry. Do you know what I mean? When, like, until we started making it.
And the chicken and a mango cream sauce is
Right.
a very mild curry, or the seafood curry.
The seafood curry. I was
very
like a total
mild.
fan of the seafood curry, which is at freezermeals101.com. And so, yes, slowly I've been dipping my toe and following you down. I eat vegetarian things now. And when I just go back, we were a meat and potatoes cook. I grew up in a meat and potatoes family, so did my husband. And so getting to do this has increased the variety of things that I feed my family, the variety of things I get to try. And you get to be knowledgeable about food too, because you're like, oh, shakshuka. I know
Let's
all
figure
about
out
that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, wow, it's delicious and wonderful. Freezermeals101.com. I'm not kidding. Go check it out and give it a try, and you will be so pleasantly surprised. I challenge you to do it.
So this is kind of how this happens in terms of like recipe creation, because we're putting the immersion blender through this and we're like, the color is just off.
It needs the milk, and we called it.
Consistency is just, it's too thick. Like, so
Not
we
soupish.
added a can of evaporated milk, and we're hopeful, but we haven't yet tried it. So we've got our bowls and spoons.
Cheers. Bon
And
appetit.
here we go.
Oh, it smells good. It smells like pumpkin pie. It's got some heat to it.
That's the chipotle chili.
My first honest to goodness thought was it tastes like pumpkin pie. Except soupier.
It tastes a little bit like my sweet potato casserole because it has pumpkin pie spice in it.
Totally. Yeah.
So what I think it needs is like 1 cup of water. It's just a little bit too thick.
Yeah.
And that would, it's not like it's spicy or anything, it just has like a little bit of a kick, but that would also tone that a little bit down.
Well, and the milk would tone it down. You're gonna laugh. It needs salt. To me.
I did not add salt, I don't think.
I'm gonna put a little bit of salt and see.
It's just too thick. That's the flavors are really good.
The flavors are good.
Don't get me wrong, flavors are good. It's very fall. Smells fantastic, but it's just too thick. It's kind of like consistency of baby food instead of soup.
Be good for Holly.
So before I transfer it into the super cubes, I'm gonna add a bit of water. I'm not even gonna do vegetable broth because I think it doesn't need more flavor. It needs
Yeah.
more liquid.
I'm glad I put the salt in it. for me. It's good.
I have a story for you. If you've stuck around this long in the video, then
You're committed now.
It's
You have to
story
listen to this
time.
story.
So these bowls are from a set that my husband and I got for our wedding. You know when you go and you register and you pick like the bowls set that you want, or the, you know, like the pattern that you want
Yeah.
for your plates and whatever. So this is what we picked. We were moving to Vancouver Island from like the Edmonton area.
It's very 90s, by the way.
These bowls?
They were so modern at the time.
I know. They were like the utmost in modern.
Very, very modern.
Yeah, because we got married like 1996. So
Did your bedroom also have like the brass and bed with the
no.
with the black
No.
the side tables,
No,
nightstands?
we couldn't afford furniture.
Yeah, I guess what was I thinking.
We had our silverware, like all the cutlery that we got for the wedding, and all of the plate sets and everything. And we didn't have room to bring it with us when we were moving to the island, which was like right after the wedding. So my in-laws, my father-in-law and mother-in-law, were gonna come and visit us, and a few weeks later, so they said they would bring it. So they drove to the island, parked at their motel or hotel or wherever they were staying, and they went to bed. They were seeing us the next day because they got in late, and their truck got broken into, and all our wedding gifts got stolen. Everything.
No.
So my parents had given us like this, and it was brass, like, or it had brass parts, but like this pendulum clock, you know, that did the chiming and stuff. And that got stolen, all of our silverware and all of our plates and bowls and like all of our set. So that was like pretty, and we certainly did not have the money to replace any of these things.
Would insurance cover it? Or
I don't think, I mean, we didn't really have, I guess we had renter's insurance.
No,
like,
but like their vehicle insurance.
Oh.
I wonder.
I don't know. And like my mother-in-law's purse got stolen, and so like there were worse things than our plates being stolen. And actually her ID and everything was found behind a dumpster, and so that got returned to her. But here's the part where it gets kind of interesting, is that at some point, I don't know if it was like a week or two later, but it wasn't that long later, we get this phone call from the police, and they have our stuff. And I don't remember if like we picked it up or they got it back to us. I don't remember how it got to us, or maybe my father-in-law went and picked it up, but whatever. But when we got it, we did not have nearly everything, and we had odd quantities of things. And so what we figured, and what the police figured, is that when they went into this place that they had been tipped off or whatever, that these people were stealing, like not just our stuff, but a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And they went in, that they must have been using it.
And it was in the
It was in the
dishwasher?
dishwasher. And so we never got it fully recovered ever. And so I think we had 8 plate sets that were gifted to us for the wedding, and we've only ever had 3 of these bowls.
Oh, fine.
And we have like the tiny little saucer plates. We have like maybe 4 of them. We have 5 of the like side plates, and then we, you know, so it's all like these random things. And same with the silverware. We've never had full sets of silverware because it also must have been in the dishwasher. So it's this really weird story of like our special.
I have known you for many years, and I have never heard that story. That is funny.
Isn't that weird?
That is funny.
So yeah, the thieves have to eat too. They need spoons.
Yeah.
They probably were like, oh, this is better than Corel. We're gonna start using
I guess,
it.
yeah, right?
And they certainly couldn't sell it.
Happy anniversary, honey.
I know. We
Look
did
what I
get
got you.
our pendulum clock returned.
Oh, you did?
So
Good.
we did get that, and that actually had some sentimental value because that was the one gift that we got from my parents, and you know, you just like, it was my parents. So we have had these bowls an awful long time, but we've never ever been able to serve these like for a dinner party or for our family or anything. It's just like if there's just 2 or 3 of us eating. The funniest part for me is how it was like random, like we got a lot of the knives back, but not a lot of the forks, which makes sense. But you know, so we had like random amounts of every single thing.
That is so funny.
And we had mugs that went with the saucers, and we only ever got back maybe 3.
They drank a lot of coffee at their house.
And so we've never actually used them, and now we don't have any, they've all broken, but we've never actually used them as mugs. We used them like we used to mix, you know when you put cinnamon sugar on top of your toast?
Yeah.
We used them as mixing bowls, essentially.
Sure, little prep bowls. You're funny. That is funny. So what's your final verdict on this soup?
Too thick, great flavor, definitely salvageable. Some of our experiments have not been salvageable. This one is.
This one's salvageable, for sure.
So we're gonna rework it a little bit, and then we'll try it, we'll tweak it, and eventually it'll end up in the club and then on the website so that you can try this, probably by next fall, but whatever, it's all good. So thank you for joining us for our taste test of the pumpkin soup and for our fall freezer meals of 2024.
And I did think of one more thing that I really like about fall. We both look nice in fall colors. That's it.
If that's not a reason to love fall, because Charlotte and Christy look good in fall colors, I don't know what is.
Totally. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy cooking.
Bye.